All right, here we are. Looks like I'm live. Very nice. So, gonna give it a few minutes here before we get right into the workshop. Let some people come in. But yeah, this is the second stream I'm doing now, the second plebdev stream. Trying to make this a thing where I'm gonna be streaming to like both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So a lot to learn for me, a lot I'm still improving here, but this time I do have the chat pulled up. So that is a good forum for kind of dropping any questions, comments, calling me out, whatever you have while you're watching. But yeah, just kind of going to keep doing these and try and improve it each time, try and improve one little thing each time. Because there's a lot that goes into the streaming rabbit hole for sure. Development is enough for me. So, but yeah, welcome in. Yeah, and so today we're going over making your plebdev portfolio. And it's not a super technical project. It's not a super technical undertaking. So this is pretty friendly for people who have maybe just gone through like the first two lessons of the course, have picked up some basics of HTML and CSS. And so yeah, it's a good like little practice project for that. You get to work with some other code because we're going to use a template, just an HTML CSS template, a free one online, and we'll be refactoring it to make it our own. And so it's a good point of practice, a good thing to do when you're starting to get familiar with like HTML, CSS. It's one thing to write your own web page. It's another thing to go in and see like, okay, how does someone's production web page look? Can I refactor it? Can I understand it? And yeah, so that's always a good thing to do. And then for me, like on the career side of things, I think that's one of my big focal points for, I guess, doing this specific workshop. And I think having a portfolio is pretty important for getting your first developer job, getting past recruiters at companies. It can be hard. It's a competitive field, honestly. I think in Bitcoin and Lightning, we're still pretty early, so there's not as much talent. So I guess it's competitive in that sense, but there's just not even that many players in the game. But maybe Bitcoin or Lightning, that's not going to be your first developer job. Maybe you'll have to get, a fiat tech job. My first developer job, I just worked at a fiat tech company, and it was a good experience. Like, I'm glad I did it, but the whole time I was trying to build up to the point to, being a great candidate for a Bitcoin company, and it took a while. So yeah, portfolio day today. So I guess just starting at the top, like at the highest level, there will be different people that tell you like you do or don't need a portfolio, or a portfolio is a waste of time. And I kind of get that perspective, but I found the opposite to be true. I found that me having a portfolio has been like a competitive advantage, where maybe there were developers, like when I was in boot camp, for example, there's definitely developers that I was working alongside that were better than me. But they weren't as good at like broadcasting their signal or branding themselves or just advertising themselves to, potential jobs, recruiters and stuff like that. So portfolio, it's one of those very pragmatic things. It's kind of about getting a job. But going beyond that, I think what it has become for me, and I think a useful way to think about it, is kind of like an addition to your GitHub. Where for me, I think of my GitHub as it's kind of something that motivates me. It's something where it has the history of all of my code, all of my work. So I keep on wanting to push code. I want to get, like here I'm on my GitHub right now. Like I want to make number of commits go up. I want to get every one of these squares green. It's a shame. I've been coding a lot lately, but I haven't been pushing a lot of code. So I need to fill it up more. But that's a lot of my motivation on GitHub, just adding repositories, adding commits, getting that consistent proof of work, and just having that record, that history of the work that I've done. And so it's a motivator for me. It's a way of tracking my progress, but it's also like proof of work to the outside world. If a recruiter, if I was looking for a new job, a recruiter might look at my GitHub and they would see like, oh, okay, this guy's really active. He's coding all the time. And I think of a portfolio now in a similar way that, my portfolio, it's more professional, it's more put together, but for me to always be adding my projects or adding my experience to it, it's something that's valuable and motivating, tracks my journey in the same way, and then it's just practical because it's showing what I've done and showing that I'm keeping on doing things. And so that's why I wanted to do this. Like, I think if you can, as early as possible in your developer journey, if you can like get a portfolio up and start making side projects and adding to it, that'll be probably the best situation. And then also a mistake that I've made and a mistake that a lot of people have made that I've seen is spending way too long on your portfolio, sinking a bunch of time into it. Because really the portfolio, like it's just a website showing off your work, talking about yourself. Like, yeah, it's an important project to do, but it's kind of like the first side project you would do. And then you'd want to keep doing side projects beyond that. So like for me, I would say if you're a junior developer, you're trying to get your first job, like a good goal, and these numbers are arbitrary, but I'd used this in the past, like a good goal to get to is like, have a portfolio hosted on your own domain and get 3 projects that you made on it, 3 side projects, example projects, whatever you have that are unique. And like, that's a great place to get started. Maybe you want to have a blog on yours as well if you're good at writing, or if you just want to do updates about your work, about your progress, like that's also a really great thing to do. Companies love to see that kind of stuff. It just shows kind of passion and dedication, but the blog isn't necessary. You mainly just want to show your projects and just have it, look nice. So, that's the big idea there. And so I guess getting into it now, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. ChatGPT says Austin writes beautiful code. Oh, it would say that because it writes all of my code nowadays. Not really, but I've been using ChatGPT more and more, and it's definitely something that is a core part of the process now. So, yeah. But yeah, so specifically we're going to be looking at HTML templates. Recently, I helped someone, my wife actually, I helped her put together her portfolio website. She's a writer, she's not a dev, and she just wanted a simple website that she could post up and add stuff onto. And she knows like very basic HTML, CSS, like literally from high school, I think. And so I wanted to be able to like get a template and kind of set it up to where I could hand it off to her and she could just keep adding on to it. And she also knows the basics of Git and GitHub. And so kind of a great plebdev example. And now we have her set up with like a portfolio template website that she's personalized. It's all her own, and she knows how to push code to GitHub, and then it's plugged into Vercel. So every time that she pushes code, every time that she updates her website locally, her deployment updates. And like that's really cool. That's kind of like the developer environment setup that I like. And so we're gonna basically try and replicate that today from zero. And I'm gonna choose a template and just make a new portfolio for myself. Kind of like I already have a portfolio, but I'm gonna make just like a new test example portfolio for Austin. So I guess getting started, I'll show you what I actually did for my very first portfolio. This is when I was in boot camp. It should still be up here. Yeah, so it takes a second to load. And so this is built in React. So I wanted to make my first portfolio really unique and really pretty. And so I have these cloud pictures that are like fading in and out. And then I've got these components that you open up and it shows my projects and you slide through them. Okay, looks kind of nice, but if you look, like if I click here, this now is completely blown out from the screen. It looks terrible. And yeah, and I spent so much time on this. And so someone in the Discord was mentioning, like, why don't we do it in React? We should do it in React. And I think making a portfolio in React it's totally cool. I love working in React, but it adds a lot of it can add a lot of bloat, and we're actually going to look at that. We're going to run performance tests here with this tool, GTmetrix, a little bit later, and run performance tests against my 2 old portfolios to kind of see how they perform and kind of show how slow they are. But yeah, for this one, so it took me a long time, all of the custom stuff, the fading in, these floating components, this slider. It took me probably like 3 or 4 months to build this. And I was like pushing code every day on it. It was such a waste of time. And then when I originally posted it, I had 2 projects on here, I think. So I was like, man, I just spent 4 months. I made this thing. It doesn't even look good on all the screens. It's not really like, I tried to make it mobile friendly here, like make it look good on mobile. Let's just see if I like squeeze this in. Yeah, I kind of like breaks up into these different shapes here and is really janky. So yeah, so even then, like I spent all this time on it and it still looks terrible on most phones. It doesn't look that good on my kind of smaller MacBook screen right now. So yeah, just kind of a sunk cost there. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Like it was a good experience and whatever, but the lesson I took away from that is like, okay, we want a pretty and professional portfolio that looks good on any screen size, and we want to get there like as soon as possible. And then if we want to do something custom on it, if we want to add custom stuff, you can always do that. But I don't want to spend a ton of time again making one of these. So that's kind of my point of view now. That's my perspective now. But yeah, so this is where I started, and I guess now we can look at some of the templates. So this is the website that I am most familiar with. I've used the most for getting free HTML templates, html5up.net. And so these are professionally made templates. Shows you here fully responsive. So it's telling us it should look good on any device, any viewport size. Built with HTML5 and CSS3. So the 5 and the 3, those are just the latest versions of HTML and CSS, and they don't update very often. So that's what it's going to be. Super customizable and 100% free under Creative Commons. So Creative Commons is a license, kind of like the MIT license. Just one of the licenses you can choose on a GitHub repo to basically, express in legal terms how people can use your code. So these are all free and open source templates, and we can just take it and we can do whatever we want with it. And they have a bunch of different examples here, so we can kind of step into one of these and look at a live demo. And yeah, so if we got something like this probably isn't for us, but you can take all of this text, you can change it really easy. You can swap out these images. Like I'm pretty sure these templates just use like free Unsplash images or like Shutter images, stuff like that, just like the free image sources. So they're all just boring stock images. And they all just have like lorem ipsum text. But yeah, it looks great. If I go here, let me go to how do I go to the full website? I think I do this. And so I can look at this on mobile as well. If I click this little phone icon, I'm on a Brave browser. I think the same icon is here for Chrome as well. But I can shrink this down. This looks kind of weird, honestly, on the phone view, but everything fits in the frame. And yeah, you just have a long scroll container with all of this stuff. But yeah, looks good. I don't like this one, but There's probably 30, 40 different ones you can choose from here. Yeah. And they're all really high quality. They all support multiple pages. And I've also found this website, I haven't worked with it specifically myself, but it looked pretty good, templatemo.com. And it's kind of the same idea, just free open source HTML, CSS templates. It seems like they had a larger selection here, and they also let you choose like one page. Like, let me see all the ones with one page only. And there's different templates here, not just for like personal stuff, but like for businesses and, things like that. So, and yeah, you can find these templates like everywhere online. Sorry, one sec. Cool. So let's find a good template that would work for developer portfolio. And so I guess, first of all, like, what do I want on my developer portfolio? So for MVP, to keep it simple, just to get started, all I really want is a nice looking page that shows my projects right away. And I want to have an about page, I guess, and links to my social media. And I'm going to have images of my projects kind of listed out in some kind of way. So yeah, that's a pretty simple start. That's all you need. So let's look for a good template that'll do that. A lot of these are just a little too stylized, like starting out with nothing but these images here. One thing I learned while going through the job search process, I mean, when I was getting my first developer position, this was in 2021, it was brutal. And things aren't too much better now, like due to market conditions. Like, it was very competitive. It was hard to get any interviews or just even anyone getting back to me. I was throwing out applications. I was probably throwing out 3 or 4 applications a day on the weekdays for like 4, 5, 6 months. So in total, I had a spreadsheet where I was like showing all the jobs I applied to. By the time I got my first position, I applied to like 180 different positions. So it was quite a grind indeed. And what I learned throughout that process, like the whole time throughout that process, I was trying to like improve my portfolio, improve my GitHub, just kind of improve my chances of them even just looking at me and giving me a chance to reach back out to me. Because that's the difficulty when you're a pleb dev. When you're a more like, I guess, experienced dev, maybe when you're getting your second or third job, you'll go out looking and a lot of people will get back to you, but you might not get through all the interviews. They might not like you. You may not like them. It's a little bit different. The pleb dev path, when you're starting from zero, you're just shooting out into the void for a long time. And so when you're in that position, when you're in like that pleb dev position, you want to maximize just the 20 or 30 seconds that they're going to give you, the time of day that they're going to give you when they're looking at your application. You want to just maximize the impact that you can have on them during those 30 seconds. And it literally is like 30 seconds. If you talk to recruiters, to tech recruiters, and I have, they're sorting through hundreds of applications a week. And they aren't developers either. So they're not technical. They may know the company's tech stack. They may know like, oh, our company uses React and Python with Flask on the back end. So we want to find people that know how to do that. Like, that's about all they'll know. So they won't appreciate your technical chops if you're showing that off. They'll appreciate your presentation and your proof of work. And so, when they're in their, recruiter management system and whatever, and they click on your application, they're probably going to look, they're going to scan through your application and read through it. So there's a lot to say about writing an application. Maybe we could even have like a jobs, pleb dev job workshop or something like that, where we could talk about some of these other gross details. But, 2 other things that they'll likely click on are your GitHub and your portfolio, if you have a portfolio website, which not all developers do. So you want them, when they click on your portfolio or when they click on your GitHub, you want them to see something that's impressive kind of instantly. And so like I spent a lot of time customizing my GitHub here and adding a custom image, adding links, and then pinning my best projects to my homepage, which actually a lot of these are old. I need to like update to my newer, better projects. But and then the commits, that's always important. I don't know how many recruiters really know to look at this, but you know, if they are technical, they will look at this and they'll be impressed if you have a lot of commits, a lot of code being pushed every day. So this is something simple you can do, you know, just like customize your README. You can just click on the arrow here and always customize it. It's just a markdown file. But yeah, the portfolio is what will really make an impact. And so keeping in mind that like 30 seconds that they're going to give you, the 30-second time of day you have as a pleb dev, like when they land on your portfolio site, I want them to instantly see projects right away. Not only see it, just be able to click on something and immediately get a project open. So like when I got my first job, you know, I was applying for like 6 months, hundreds of times. And when I got into my first interview with this company I worked for before, the person who was interviewing me, he told me, he's like, hey, we saw your portfolio and we clicked on this project and we liked your Game of Life project. I had like this one, which I don't even know if this is live anymore. It is live. Okay, cool. So it was like a Game of Life project. If you know what that is, kind of like a math nerd thing. But anyway, so they clicked on that and they saw it and they were like, hey, yeah, it was cool. We love this kind of stuff. It's cool that you did that. And so I kind of got this feedback and saw right away that like the only thing that made me stand out to them is that they clicked on this one link and went to my website, and then they clicked on this other link and went to my project, and they saw, you know, it was a real custom project I had made. And that was seemingly enough to get me into the door on the first interview. So yes, so competitive edge, that's a lot of where my thinking is for doing this presentation and thinking about portfolios. And you know, it's not my favorite thing, like finding your first developer job, breaking into tech. It's kind of a game. It's kind of a rigged game. It's a little bit dumb. It doesn't fully make sense, but you need to play it at least to get to that first position. And once you get to that first position, you're in a totally different environment, totally different competitive environment. But getting from 0 to 1, that's really the journey for the most part. But okay, cool. So let's get back to this, and I'm gonna check. Cool. So I'm gonna go actually with a template I've used before, just so I can show you pretty quickly here, and we don't get caught up. Where is it? Phantom. Yeah, this was the one I'd used before. So if we look at this live demo, this is pretty simple. You can't actually see, my camera is blocking on the screen, but we have a sidebar right here that I can click on, just like a little sidebar icon. And we go down and there's just these floating images here that we can click on. And so this looks perfect for just posting our projects just right there up front. And so we can essentially just go in here and change text, change colors, change images, and then have something to work with. We also have social media links down here and a little email form. So that's interesting, the email form. We're not going to do it today, but I would definitely suggest looking up like email.js. This is a library in JavaScript that you can like kind of set up a simple email client in JavaScript to take messages like these and just pass it directly into your email. So that's a good thing to have, but it's not super necessary. I'm probably going to get rid of this. But yeah, this is a nice simple template. We've got a home page. If I click on the sidebar here, I can go to one of these other pages, and it looks like it's a generic page. Yeah, they're all just this generic page. So home page and a generic page. And we can look at tablet view. What does this look like? Tablet portrait mode. And then mobile. Yeah. And this looks great on all of them, I think. Beautiful. So this is what we're going to start with. This is what we're going to work with. Any questions in the live stream before we get into this? Sweet. Okay, so I'm just going to download this at first. It's going to be a little bit of a different process than cloning a Git repo. So I should have this. Just going to rename this. Should have this in my downloads now. .zip. Cool. And I just need to unzip this. And we have a folder now. Guess I can show this view to make it easier. Oh, gross. No, that is not easier. Okay, so now I have this repo, and we look in here. We have some HTML files. We have an images folder. We have an assets folder. So cool. I'm going to drag this in my VS Code. Do I want to keep this in downloads? No, I'm going to move this over to my desktop. Okay, drag this down to VS Code. Sweet. Let's look at this repo. And so I guess another thing that we want to consider before we just take one of these templates and commit ourselves to it, we want to look around and see how much custom stuff are they doing in here. And mainly, like, my concern here would be inside of the JavaScript. Like, they've got some jQuery going on here. We've got breakpoints being done with JavaScript. And so this is just like super... Oh yeah, okay, and we see .min here. So this .min means that the JavaScript has been minified. Minified is just a fancy way of saying, like, it's been packaged. Someone wrote real JavaScript that was, a little more verbose, and then they put it into a program, and that program just compressed it into the tightest, smallest JavaScript possible. And so this is not human readable. And this is also the fact that it's minified, the fact that it's .min. That's telling us that we shouldn't need to touch this. We don't want to touch this. Let's ignore it. And then besides that, we have a main.js here. It looks like there's a lot going on. And then a util.js. They're also using jQuery here. Yeah. So ideally, we would want to find a template where we don't need to change any JavaScript. I don't want to have to touch any of this JavaScript. I don't want to read through this, worry about what it's doing, break everything. Oh no, my ESLint is freaking out. But yeah, I don't want to have to deal with it. All I want to be changing is CSS and HTML. So we can look in the CSS here. This looks pretty simple. We have font awesome. Looks like this is basically just like a package. Yeah, minified CSS. We have a main.css. This looks like the real deal. Got classes and named selectors. We've got breakpoints here. So this is where the styles are changing depending on the size of the screen. So nice. It looks like they took care of all of this stuff. It's a huge CSS file though. They've got it all in main here. How long is this? 3,300 lines. So a little bit concerning right there. But just looking at the starting template here, I can tell right from this, like, okay, there's not that much I really am going to need to change. I like the structure of this. I'm going to want to empty out some of these, change the colors, change the text, change the images. Should be pretty straightforward. So let's get into it. Images, and then elements.html, generic.html, and index. What is elements? What is this? We saw the index page, we saw the home page, and we saw the generic page. But what is the elements page? Is that That's generic page, elements. Interesting. Okay, so this is, okay, so they're giving us, so this page isn't actually meant to be used. This is just a page of a bunch of examples of them using the assets and the components that are built into this project. So they're saying like, look, here's all the buttons we have. Here's all the different kinds of text, and here's how you show like code blocks. Here's a table, alternate, more buttons, form. Cool, okay. So we just can have this as a reference, so whatever. Okay, and so now that I have this project here, let's just run it locally. So one extension, I think I mentioned this in the course, but if you're using VS Code here, there's a really cool extension you can get that's called Live Server. So I have that right here, Live Server. And this is just an easy way to start up an HTML file, start it up on a server, and then have it automatically refresh as you change the code. So maybe that sounds confusing, but all we're gonna do here is you install the extension, I'm going to my index.html, and then I have this go live button on my bottom bar here. Can we even see this? Can we see my bottom bar? No, we can't. My screen is just a little bit too tall here. Scale this down to here. Okay, we should see my bottom bar now, and I don't think I broke my overlay here too much. Actually, I need to make it a little smaller. Okay, I think that should do it for now. Okay, anyway, so you go down here, we click this go live button, and then boom, it's just gonna throw it up. Awesome. So now we have this, 127.0.0.1, which is localhost. Is another way of putting it, at port 5500. So this is just the local server that spawned up for us. And then we have /index.html. Nice. So we're seeing the same project here. Yeah, everything looks the same. I don't have photos in here though. That's interesting. Do we have photos in this one? I think we do. If I go home, yeah, there's photos there. The photos aren't here. So that's interesting. Do we have images in here? Oh, all the images actually in here are just blurred. Okay. Well, whatever. We're not going to use them anyway. Okay, so yeah, I guess like the first change I want to make here is I want to change the menu bar up here. And we don't need all of these subpages. All I'm going to have is home and about. And then on home, it's going to have all my projects here. And on about, I'll just make a little about page using the generic page. So let's do that. So I see here that we have a menu. Yeah, it looks like these are the menu items pretty simply. So we don't need the elements one. We're just going to keep one here. And I'm going to call this about. And we're going to go to generic.html. So save that. Boom. And we're going to generic. Cool. And so I guess one thing with this generic page, they're giving it to us. They're calling it generic. So like, I'm going to use this as a generic page. And instead of just using this page and changing it, I'm going to keep generic as a reference for me. So every time I want to make a new page, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to copy all of generic. And then I'm going to make a new HTML file. So we'll make about.html. I'm going to paste all this in. And I'm going to go back and make sure that we are routing to about instead of generic. Cool. And now I can go in here and kind of change this specific page. So now what does this look like? About, cool. It just looks like the generic page. So generic page, so I'll just start changing some text here. So I'm gonna call this about, and I'm gonna put an about here, some kind of a description for myself. So let's just put a p tag. Let's say, damn, it feels good to be a pleb dev. And we've got this image here that's their image. Oh, we're on generic. I want to go to about. Oh, it's still linking us. Did I not save it? So index about should link us to about.html. So what's up with that? Let's refresh. About, okay, that was weird. Sweet. And I want to put some kind of image in here. I'm just gonna start like, I have my other, yeah, I might just pull some like images from my other portfolio repo. I have it pulled up over here. But whatever, we'll just keep this for right now. Bunch more things to change. Also, it looks like when I'm on my about page, the menu is different. So that's interesting. So it looks like we need to change the menu on both index and about. So yeah, do the same thing here. About and about. Cool. Okay, now it's updated. Go back home. Sweet. So now the only two pages, the only two endpoints you can be linked to on here are about and HTML. I guess unless you click on these still link to generic, but we'll have these link out to probably just like where my projects are deployed eventually. So let's update this title now on here. So this is about, go to index. So they're saying this is Phantom, it's a free template, blah, blah, blah. Oops, no, not attacker. And I'm just gonna say Bitcoin plebdev. Sweet. And then up here where it says Phantom, what does this do? It just links us back to the page. Where does it say that? Right here, Phantom. I'm just gonna say plebdev. Nice. Okay. Did we get rid of something else up here? What else was up here? No, nothing. That was just this top bar here. Cool. So there's that. And let's change the footer here as well. So I don't want to have emails yet. Maybe at some point, I'm probably just going to comment this out. I want to get rid of, yeah, this stuff. And yeah, have some less social media links. So should be at the bottom here. Yeah, we have this follow tab and then form. So this must be the email form, and it's inside of a section. So I'm just going to highlight this section, and I'll do command / to comment it out. So yeah, definitely one of those shortcuts that's good to know is like the comment and the uncomment shortcut. It's different between Mac, Windows, and Linux, but for me it's command / on Windows or something. It should be like control / /. So we comment that out, and then most of these social medias I don't want. Don't want Facebook, Instagram. No, thank you, Zuck. Don't know what that is. Phone, email, nope. Oops. Do I want email? I don't even want email. I'm just going to do Twitter and GitHub. And so this is an anchor tag, and we have our href property, but you see right now it just has hash in it. So if we go and we click on one of these right now, it'll just add hash to the end of the URL, and it won't do anything. It'll just refresh. So we're going to put the real profiles in here. So I'll go to my Twitter profile here, and I'll just copy this URL. And then we'll go to GitHub and do the same. All right, cool. So now if I hover this, I see, should be linking me, yep, to Twitter and to GitHub. Cool. And then our email form is gone as well. And I'm gonna get rid of this little design thing. Just get rid of this part. Should do that, is that fine? Yeah, that should be fine. Cool. At untitled. Let's do at plebdev. I'm just gonna put plebdev absolutely everywhere. Okay, cool. And yeah, so a lot of the stuff I'm deleting, but just gonna keep this email form commented out so we can use it later if we want. So nice. That looks like we whipped a lot of this into shape. The text is correct now on the home page, except for these projects. Our social media links are here. But one thing that is annoying, I know this is gonna happen, go to about, all this crap is still down here. So kind of bad code, because they're repeating themselves, right? I guess this is something you just have to do when you're working at the low level of HTML and CSS. But if we go into our About page, we see that all that code we just changed is now, it's replicated here. So kind of annoying. So I'm just gonna go I'm gonna go to the point where we changed everything. So like starting at the top of the footer here. Now I'm just gonna copy all the way down, copy that, and then I'm gonna go to About. I'm gonna find this same place at the footer, copy all the way down, highlight all the way down and paste. Cool, so nice. So our menu is the same, and our footer is the same. Is there anything else here in About that's different? It says Phantom up here in About. So we need to change this, Phantom to plebdev. Okay, cool. And another thing we want to do here is for our About page and the index page, we have a title right here, which says generic Phantom by HTML up. And so this will show, this shows right here in my tab. Like this is telling me this is what the tab is. And so we don't want to have that. We want to have our portfolio. So I'm just going to put the title as Bitcoin plebdev. Put that here in About. Then we'll duplicate ourselves in index. Cool. And the rest of this stuff should be fine. Yeah, we're just putting in the metas and then adding main.css. And so, yeah, and this is another good thing to notice here. We're only using a main.css in here. I guess we have the noscript.css. What is this doing? Oh, that's not doing that much. Okay, that must just be some configuration setting. But yeah, so we can see what CSS is being used. So looks like any of the styles we want to change on here, this should all be in main.css. So that's good to know. What do we want to do next? I want to start putting in my projects, I think. So I'm not going to have quite this many projects. We'll just put in maybe 3 for right now. So let's get rid of everything but the top 3 of these. So on index again, they're telling us this is the main block where we have a header And then we start to get into this section called tiles. And so I'm guessing these are going to be all of our tiles inside of these articles. And you see it's repeating here. They also have class equals style 1, style 2, style 3. That's kind of more bad code, honestly. They're just, yeah, you'd want to have these styles selected a little bit more clever than that, but that's fine. We can work with it. We didn't have to write this from scratch, so we're saving a crap ton of time. So I'm going to go down 3 of these. So that's number 2. This is number 3. And then I'm going to just highlight the rest of this and delete it. We'll wait till we hit the bottom of this section. So many tiles. Okay. Bottom of the section here. Boom. So now we should have 3. Okay, cool. Very simple now. So now I'm going to put projects in here. So let's grab some project images. So we have this images folder here. So I'm going to start bringing in, I guess, like 3 of my projects I'm going to bring in here. So pull this in from one of my projects, my Bitcoin knowledge bot. Pull this in from this one, Facebook Explorer. And then I'll pull in my game of life image. So now we have these. They're sitting inside of our images directory. So we should be able to take the names here and replace them. So here we're pointing to images, side of the image tag with our source property. We're saying images pick 0 or 1. So I'm going to change this to, yes, autocomplete. Love it. Okay, so that'll be our first one. And then right here, we'll do FB Explorer. And right here, we will do Game of Life. Save that. Okay, cool. So one thing I'm noticing here is that there's a normalization problem with the size of these images. So that is a little bit concerning. Wonder what we can do to fix that. We are wrapping our images here in a span with class of image. Maybe there's some way we can put a static size on here. I mean, honestly, I would probably just, if I was doing this for real, I'd probably just take a new screenshot. These both look the same size. So screw it. Since I don't want to do that right now, let's just replace. I think this image should be the same size. So let's do this. Tips.png. No, it's doing the same thing. Crap. Okay, let's do this just to make it even. Cool, that looks fine to me. It's even now. Not really, but yeah, we might dive into the CSS and see if we can normalize these. But first, I've got this ugly like X mark on here while they're fading in, and there's also this color hue that's a little bit strong. Let's see if we can change this. We also want to change the text here, but that should be easy. So let's go see where this X kind of style is coming from. Oops. So I'm gonna open up the developer tab here, go into elements, and we can click on the pointer here so we can select a certain element and start to just look at it and see what styles are going on in here. This span right here. And yeah, and we've got the styles right here. We can just start checking and unchecking things to see what it looks like, but it doesn't seem like that X is any of these. What's inside of here? The image, the actual image tag. So it's not on here. It's not on the span. Maybe it's on article here. It's just width and margin. Transform. What does that do? No. Your transition. So not on the article. So let's just keep crawling down here and see where this style is getting added. Click on the anchor tag here. That looks like everything. We've looked at everything on here. Got background color. Oh, okay. So that got rid of the background color, but the X is still there. Pointer events. Before. After. Okay, let's actually look in the CSS here. So we'll go to main.css, and we'll be looking for, let's just look for article first of all. Section article. And so icon article. So it's called style 1. And then tiles, maybe we're under tiles. Tiles article. Interesting. Image before. Image after, tiles, article, anchor. And then this is where it's setting the background colors. And the opacity. Is this for all of them? So dot tiles, article, hover. So here's one thing we can change is the opacity. It's a little bit, it's not opaque enough. So maybe if I change this to 15, we should see, yeah, these are a little brighter now. Can kind of see through it a little more. So I feel like it might be on the before here. What happens if I just, this is gonna totally make it look terrible, but what happens if I comment all this out? Okay, the colors are gone, but the X is still here. The bastards. Where is it? This is what I start doing when I'm just getting desperate. I'll just comment out a bunch of stuff, see if I get the fix I want. That didn't do it. So where are they hiding this dumb X thing? No, it won't be in tiles. We looked in articles before, after. Let's just comment this block out. Doing some live debugging. Okay, the X is still there. What about this? The content. No, that's just showing the after content. Where did they put this? Maybe this thing. What is this doing? Okay, this is what's making it kind of zoom in. Hey, we're learning about what our code is doing as we're trying to debug this, so that's something. Opacity. These are breakpoint styles, so it shouldn't be anything in here. Damn, okay. There's gotta be a way to find it inside of here. So we just have a section with tiles. Each tile is an article. So we know it's not on the style 1. So let's open up the article, and then we have a span and an anchor. Let's check the span. No, it's not on here. Yeah, it's not on here. Let's look at the anchor. Just kind of be systematic about it. This is all alignment, transition. Interesting. Text color, borders, height. Yeah, this isn't going to be any of it. Okay. Okay, so let's open this up now. Content and H2. So it shouldn't be in the comment. Is it the actual image itself? Or the before property? Oh, what was that? No, that was just the color. Z-index, opacity, pointer events. Okay, let's refresh this because I blew up these styles. Gosh, I hate that X. Why do they have to have that X? It's so hard to find. Okay, screw it. We'll just move on and work on these colors and get the text right first, and maybe we can fix this at the end. You're always liable to run into these little HTML, CSS issues here. So next, this is my first project, Sats for Tips. So do I want to have a title? I don't know, I guess so. Sats for Tips. And then, tip jars with lightning. And then this one is FB Explorer, so FB Explorer. Reclaim your Facebook data. Knowledge bot. Coin with GPT-3. Cool. So updated titles and descriptions. A little in your face, but that's fine. I still want to change this opacity a little bit on the before. Where is opacity being used? Maybe here in the before. Opacity 0.8. Yeah. So what is this on? .tiles, article, and I can just copy this right here. Oops. Copy. And I can go into the CSS and search it. It's always the easiest if you can find in here. So got opacity 0.8. Let's do like 0.2. Okay, that's too much. We'll do 0.4. A little more. 0.6. Okay, so they're kind of faded behind these colors. And honestly, the colors kind of match right now. The text is a little bold here. And it's kind of hard to see. Mainly on this one just because of the white. So, but that's cool for now. First duration. And now I want to have these actually link to my projects. So let's change. We have an href here on each of these, and the href is just taking us to this other generic page, but we actually want to go to a new URL. So for this one, I'll do /sets core.tips. This will be FB Explorer.app. Is this one even live still? I'm not sure. I haven't checked up on my old side projects in too long. And then where's our last href? Right here. This will go to / Bitcoin frontend.vercel.app. Did I remember that? Got this old Vercel dev deployment. Let's see. Let's see if it links us. Cool. So here's this project. Go back. Sats for tips works. Awesome. Nice. So we're linking to our projects now. We're showing them. We've still got this ugly damn X that's here when we're not hovering. But let's deal with that last. I guess from this point here, let me just check the chat. Let's see if we've got any questions from anyone on the process, anything I'm doing here. Okay, cool. So normally, I mean, I think what I would want to do actually, these are kind of just quick descriptions, but if I were you, I would suggest having maybe even like below, or maybe after you click on this, like maybe you could have these, instead of going right to the deployment, maybe you could have them go to another type of generic page, but maybe that generic page, it tells you more about the project. Like you want to show what your tech stack is, you want to show a little bit of what you used. And so I can actually give you an example here. Show you my current portfolio. So this is my current portfolio site. And I have like the projects just sitting here up front, so you can be a click away. But I also have experience over here where I'm trying to describe what I did in these projects. And I'm also giving a GitHub and a deployment link. And so I would suggest doing that. Definitely have a link to the GitHub and have a link to the deployment if you do it. I'm not actually saying what tech I'm building these with. So that's my B. I should be putting like, React, Next.js, this library, like anything custom or anything new that I'm learning or I'm doing in these projects, you want to put that. And then something else I did on here is I list out my skills. You can hardly see that. These are all just like icons that are, just showing, Flask, Figma, SAS, like all of these pieces of technology that I know how to use or I've used at some point in time. So this probably isn't even the best, what I've got here. Like I should maybe just list them out. I don't know. But so I would suggest doing that. Like we have our about page over here and we're just kind of putting damn, it feels good to be a plebdev, but here would be a good spot to maybe have like a picture of yourself and like more description on your mission, your experience, stuff like that. Let's grab an image for this actually. make our about page look a little better. I'm gonna grab yes, I'm gonna grab this and about here we go. Yeah. So this is the classic image from pleb to plebdev. So this is what I'm gonna have on my profile, and let me just steal let me just steal this description that I have here, and we'll post it just to get a better sense of what this might look like. We'll do a BR, so a break tag here to make a line break, P, and then I'll just put this in. It'll be a really long line. Go back here. Cool. So a little bit more of a just kind of a professional description, empowering individuals and colleagues, teams, building impactful, all those power words. I need to update that. This is like, I need to make this all plebdev stuff because this was from when I was still just desperate trying to get my first Bitcoin job. Okay, cool. So these are up now. You know, I don't think I like the texting here. I wonder if we can hide this text, this H2, like only show it when we hover. So maybe if I drop it into this content container here, so FB Explorer, move that down, move this down. By the way, you can use a command here. If you click on a line, I can hold Option I on Mac, and I can just jump these lines up and down and move them around, so it's a convenient tool. But cool, so yeah, now it only shows it when we hover, and we still just have that ugly, ugly X. Is this one even behind a color anymore? FB Explorer. Class name image. Oh, look at this. I made the class our URL like a complete idiot. Okay. Okay, so that doesn't even work. So this should be style 2. And then the source, no, this is supposed to be the FB Explorer link. Whoops. FBExplorer.app. Okay, that looks better. Next, so now the titles, they only hover up afterwards. My social media links are working. I've got an about page. Yeah, this might be a first iteration right here. Do we want to go and try dark mode? That's a little bit risky because our text is all kind of dark here, so we'd have to switch up the text styles. What does it look like over here? Yeah. Do they have a dark? I wonder if they have a dark mode like default here, maybe on the elements. Dark. No, there's nothing. Damn. Okay, cool. Well, let's just call this a first iteration because I want to push this up to GitHub and I want to just deploy it right away. And so I can keep on working on this, like add in the rest of my projects, fix some of the styles here, normalize the images, but let's just get it up and going because that's the point here. Just get a quick start, get something up, and then you can always improve on it little by little. So we have this folder, but we kind of just downloaded this folder from the internet. It's not a Git repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to git init, run this command here, and initialize this. So now we've initialized this as a Git repository, and instantly all of this stuff lights up, and I can show, it's showing here that there are 79 pending changes. So this is just the entire repo was created, so it's just reflecting all of these changes. And now I want to set up a new GitHub repo for this to live on. So go to my repositories here, and we'll make a new one. select me as the owner, and I'll just call this plebdev portfolio example. We'll make it public. Don't want to add a README. Yeah, we'll just leave it all blank. Just create it. And when we don't add anything to it, it gives us this empty repo, and it's pretty nice. They give us the commands here on how to either create a new repository, like if we are starting from scratch, to run these commands, or to push an existing repository. So I want to push an existing repository. So I'm going to copy this first command, git remote add origin. So I'm telling Git, okay, we're in a Git repo, so I can run the Git command. So now we have a remote repo that we want to add, and the origin of it is this URL. So that's what we're saying. So, okay, cool, pretty simple. And then up here they're saying git branch -m is main, and then git push that branch. Do we have a main though? It initialized us with master instead of main. This is an annoying ass thing that I always run into, but like all branches at the base level used to be called master, and now we're changing the terminology to be nice to people, and so they're saying main here, but really I want to say git branch master, and we don't even need to create this branch because you can see here I'm already on. If I run git branch, oh, it's not even showing it. So maybe we do need to do this. So let's do git branch -m and master, and then git push. We just need to git push, and it'll tell us we have no upstream branch. We need to set the upstream to a certain branch. Okay, we're just going to copy this command, tell it we want to push our master up to a remote branch called master. And failed. Ref spec master does not match any. Is this because maybe we do need to make this main? How annoying. So let's try to do it their way. Main, git push origin main. Oh, we haven't added. We need to add all these changes. Duh. Okay. So let's git add everything. We're just going to add absolutely everything, and we're going to get commit -m to put a message with a quote, and I'll just say initial setup. So it added all of that into a commit, and now we would want to push our commit, set upstream main. Will you work this time? Okay, it's working. Sweet. A lot of objects are passing up, so taking a second. All right, let's refresh this page. Let's see if it's here. Beautiful. Our project is here. It's up on GitHub. Nice. So now that we're here on GitHub, our project looked all right to start with. I'm going to go to trusty, handy Vercel. I love Vercel so much. I've got so many projects on here now. They probably got to start charging me soon at this point, but I'm still on the hobby free account. So it's amazing. I have like 20 projects set up, and we're going to create a new one. So new project. So I'm going to import a Git repository. This one right here. And so framework preset. So when we did this in the plebdev course, we used the create React app preset. But this time we're not going to do that. I wonder if we need to select if there is just like a regular HTML one we need to select. There's all of these different frameworks you can build with. There's nothing here, so maybe we can just do other. Build and output settings. There's no run command. Environment variables. There's no environment variables. So let's just try framework preset to other. Deploy this. And it'll run our build here and tell us how things are going. Oh, wow. Is that really it? Look at that. Okay. Looks real. Let's go to our dashboard. So now it's telling me that this should be available at plebdev portfolio example.vercel.app. Open that up. And here we are. Our examples load in. They still link to the correct websites. Our social media links are working. That is awesome. Everything's here. It's that easy, and I have a second and kind of embarrassing portfolio up now, so that is sick. Okay, one thing, so something I always like to do is I want to test my deployment. We just set up our new Vercel deployment, and Vercel is looking at main. It's looking at the main branch, and it's going to be listening for changes, and every time there's a change, it's going to redeploy it. So let's just see if that really happens. So I've still got my project running locally here. Let me find the local version. Here it is. So one thing I want to do just to test this change, and it will be a slight improvement, is I want it when we click on the links here, I want to have it open up a new tab. So I know there's a way to do this because I've done it in the past. So I'm just going to look up how to make an anchor tag open up a new tab. Open link and new tab window in HTML. And so yes, so we add target blank rel no opener no refer. So these two properties. So we want to add these into the anchor tags for our projects here. So I can just paste this around. This one here, this one here. Make sure I don't paste in the wrong place again like I did last time. And then let's add it to our footer as well for our social media links. And then what else? Do we have any other links on here? Yeah, only to the pages, our project, social media. Cool. So we save that. So now we have another change. So let's add this change. And I'm not doing get status. I'm being a bad example. It's good to always run get status to see what you have up here. I'm kind of looking in the sidebar here, which also tells me, but you know, in case you accidentally push your secret variables to your LNbits wallet or something, which I've definitely done that, so learn from my mistakes. So we've added it. So now we need to commit -m, and I'm gonna put a commit message, just say links, open up new tab, git push, and our upstream is already set up, so we should be able to just run git push. Yep. Okay, let's watch the magic happen. So now, just now, it shows us, oh, that happened so fast. I basically missed it. Can I go to deployments? Yeah, so from deployments, I can see here, initial setup, this created one deployment, and then just 4 seconds ago, this commit, which it links me right to the commit, created this deployment. So now if I go back to my deployed one, I click here, just refresh, this should open up a new tab. Beautiful. I realize we didn't even test it locally, but you know, I know that works. Awesome. So I'm trying to think, what else did I want to show you? I guess performance, this is one thing. I'll open up the chat to see if there's anything here or any questions you all have from this process. Okay, so one final thing I want to mention. So we were talking at the beginning about like recruiters and how it's hard to get eyes on your portfolio, or just kind of get an opportunity to even talk to someone in an interview when you're a pleb dev. And so something else that they might be looking for, especially if you're applying to like a bigger company or a company that really prides themselves on like good engineering, or just really solid engineering practices, whatever, what they will likely do is, especially if you're applying to a web developer position, like if you're going to be working on their website, they might run your website through a tool like this. This is gtmetrics.com. And this is a website that basically can analyze any URL, and it gives you feedback about how fast it was, how big of a package it was, and just like some other tips. So before I started the stream, I ran my current portfolio, Bitcoin plebdev, through here, and I got a C rating. Not very good. It's pretty performant. The structure's bad. Well, that's not bad. 72%. I'll take that. And there's a nice summary of issues here. So it's telling me avoid enormous network payloads. Yeah, and it's pointing to all of these images I have loading, as well as some JavaScript chunks. So since this is built with Next.js, there's definitely some magic going on in the background that I don't know about, which is like the chunking of the images, the chunking of some of the code, and it's creating these big network calls, which is slowing it down. So it's warning me about that. So that's a problem just right there with using like React or something, a really powerful tool for just having a simple website. Like we just want a simple website that links to places and has text and images on it. And so sometimes using React for that can be like using a sledgehammer on like a picture nail. It can be just a little bit too much and you run into trouble. So enable keep alive. It's telling me, interesting, it's telling me that my project isn't staying alive. Okay, so that's just some random setting I've never heard of, keep alive, but I know I'm hosting it on Vercel, so it should be live all the time, but maybe it's just because it doesn't stay cached on my deployment or something like that. Like it has to reload, rebundle everything. So that's an interesting setting. Properly size images. Tell me about it. So that's actually really cool. It shows you this. Serve images that are appropriately sized to save cellular data and improve load time. So this is something you can fix. There's image optimizers that you can like just take the images already in your app and you drop them and you kind of compress them down. But I don't know, that's kind of getting in the weeds. If you're working on that stuff, maybe that's a bit too much. But anyway, and it tells me avoid large layout shifts and use passive listeners to improve scrolling performance. That's interesting. So you can probably learn a lot about web dev just reading through these tips. So didn't get that great of a rating. But let's see what our new website gets. I've never done this for like a statically deployed, just like HTML, CSS website. So let's see how we score with our pleb portfolio that we just built in like 50 minutes. So yeah, this will probably take a minute. Yeah, so only the most, okay, we got a B, nice. So it's at least better here. What is it telling us? Avoid enormous network payloads. Damn, is it the images? It's the images and our bundled up CSS, our bundled up JavaScript, our bundled up fonts, large network payloads, cost users real money and are highly correlated with long load times. Okay, that's not good. So I guess something we could do if we wanted to improve that was compress the images. It's telling us our images aren't properly sized. Yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, because so it looks like these two images are actually already compressed because they're like 57 kilobytes, 235 kilobytes. And then we have this sats for tips is just a huge ass 4.5 megabytes. Avoid CSS import. at import. So we didn't write that, but whatever, I'm not going to change that. But anyway, yeah, don't have to obsess over these details, but it's just something to keep in mind. Like your most strict recruiter doing the most due diligence, they might run your website through something like this. So just using one of these static templates, we got a very nice score of B, pretty good for a pleb dev. And so I would take that any day. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, cool. I mean, I think that was about everything I wanted to go through. We took this template, we refactored it, we added on some of our custom details. I still want to fix this X, but whatever. I'll let that be the challenge for y'all. Figure out how to get rid of this like ugly X over here on this. And yeah, I mean, what else? Yeah, I mean that's about it. I think I would love to see any of you all take this template or take one of these other templates that you can get from HTML5 Up. If I go back. Take one of these templates, build your plebdev portfolio, make it look better than the one I just built. Shouldn't be too hard, but yeah, would love to see that. You know, the whole idea with the plebdevs community, like I want us to be able to level up together. And so I think like once we start getting profiles of the plebdevs and you have a GitHub set up, you know, you're tracking the code that you're committing, you're adding repositories, and then you add a portfolio website on top of that. You know, we're going to start building our brand as plebdevs and just putting that signal out there. And I mean, you know, my dream is a year from now, a year and a half from now, whenever it is, that we can have just dozens of plebdevs that are getting their first job or maybe their second job, who knows. And they're using all these resources. We're sharing resources. We're building together. We're helping each other kind of improve and refine ourselves as pleb devs and getting to that point. Because, you know, I wouldn't have made it on my journey if I didn't have a ton of help along the way and asking people a ton of questions and getting harsh feedback. And so I just want to pass on, you know, what I've learned to you all so you can skip through the BS and just kind of go through the steps and go through the process and learn and build and get to that first dev position or get to that first open source contribution, whatever your goal is. And so a portfolio, it's a good place to start. Get your basic one, just get it up, just ship it, you know, don't worry about details, ship it up there, start adding your projects, and then just be motivated by that drive to keep on improving it and adding projects onto it. Yeah, that's part of what keeps me going, for sure. But yeah, sweet. I will just go over here now and we can hang out for a minute. We'll see if you all have any like questions or comments or I don't know, just feedback. Call me out. Anything I've talked about that you disagree with, I'd be curious, but feel free to do that now. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it would be good to do more career type workshops eventually. I'm working on the second course a bit right now, so like that's my top priority is like, okay, get the second course out and then we can start to do all of these other ideas I've been having. But you know, like there's stuff like technical interviewing, which a lot of, well, not just technical interviewing, but like specifically algorithm problems. A lot of tech companies will have you do that. Not Bitcoin companies as much, but algorithms is this whole, it's just like basically solving simple problems with code that they make you do live in interviews. Like this is something that it's this whole separate skill you have to learn and grind for. And it kind of goes back into the dumb game, like that getting your first developer job, breaking into tech is this dumb rigged game. And there's a few of these things you have to learn, have to do to get there. And as a developer, one of them is definitely getting some basic exposure to doing algorithms, doing algorithm problems or simple coding problems live. So I could imagine us doing a session on that at some point. And I mean, yeah, like when you're in an interview process as a developer, like there's kind of two types of technical interviews. Usually there's going to be, what they call a take home, which is where they're like, hey, here's an assignment, make this little React project, make it do this, and then show it to us and like talk about your code. I like take homes. Take homes are good because it's just like, cool, I'm building, like I always build. I'm just building a project. And then there's algorithm or live coding problems where they sit you in front of the engineer and they're like, okay, here's a problem, here's a new problem. Okay, now write the code and solve it right in front of us. And it's really intimidating. It can be really scary. And they want you to like talk about the problem as you're doing it and talk about how you're thinking about it, like express yourself. It's a super weird like skills, very specific skill set that they want you to know and that can like make or break any job opportunity. So I would love to share that knowledge at some point for sure. Yo, what's up, Toshi? My man. But yeah, cool little stream here. How long has it been? Like hour and a half. Not too bad. Probably like 50 minutes of actual work here, but very cool. All right, if there are no other questions, I think now would be a good time to call it. Thank you. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're still so early. This is still an experiment. This is my second stream. I've done a few recordings, 4 recordings or something like that, but gonna keep this going. Gonna be streaming every Saturday. So this is the Saturday where we do a workshop. Next Saturday will be a live hack. Saturday after that, workshop, live hack, and we're just gonna keep going from there. And I might also do like random streams throughout the week. Just like documenting any work I'm doing. Like I think I did a Stacker News stream recently. I think that was on some random night. But yeah, those might happen, especially as I'm like making the second plebdev course. I want to just document the process and like do research and kind of experimentation live, because why not? So, look out for that kind of stuff. But that's what I have planned right now. So tell me what you want to see. Give me a harsh feedback if you got it. I would love to see that. Pleb Poet with the template deployment. Yep. Can pull this up. Looks beautiful. Let's go. That's awesome. Okay. So everyone, if you're going to make a template, post it in the Discord. I want to see it. Show it off. Put it in the Show It Off channel. You should be able to make it look better than mine. No problem. But okay, cool. We'll call it here. Thank you again for tuning in. And yeah, let's keep building. Let's keep going. Salute. The salutes always. Salutes and handshakes. That's my thing. But cool. See you all soon.